One of the most asked questions I've ever received is, how much money do I need to start day trading? It's tempting to believe a bright picture that's being painted by people in the space, that if you follow person X or follow signal Y, that you can become a millionaire within a week. It's not uncommon to see very lucrative profits being made from trading. While not necessarily impossible to achieve such results, if you're just starting out, it's very unlikely that you will achieve the same kind of results right off the bat. To be consistently profitable, there's a huge learning curve that you need to work your way through. This video that I'm making is a little bit in a different format, and what I want to do here is shed some light on what is actually realistic. How much money can you actually make in trading? And how much money do you need to actually make those ambitions that you have a realistic goal? The amount that you want to make when you're starting out will often be very unrealistic in relation to the capital that you might have available at the time. I will go over some of the aspects that you can take into consideration and back it up with realistic data so you can actually set realistic expectations for yourself. There's a really big difference in thinking what is realistic to what is actually real. A common thing that I hear very often are things like, when can I quit my day job? And at what point can I live from my income from day trading? Or something that's also very unrealistic that I hear is, I'm so sick and tired of my boss, I want to start to trade, and within 1 year, I want to be gone from there and become a full-time trader. These goals are respectable and very ambitious. But what about the hard facts? Is this actually achievable and realistic to expect? Something I do want to mention beforehand is that regardless the number that will come out of this video, you have to realize, and I want to stress that, in order for these numbers to be really usable, you need to learn first. If you've really never traded before, it simply just makes no sense to use these numbers because you can simply not trade yet. The period of learning is considered tuition, and the mistakes that you will make and the initial losses that you're going to make, whether you want it or not, is going to be your tuition. You have to get through this process first, just as everybody else, in order to start putting emphasis on the numbers I'm about to show you. So while I have a general idea of what I want to address and say in this video, I do not really have a pre-written script on the data that's going to come out. So I'm gonna walk through some simulations just to show you how you can use the data and how you can come to a certain conclusion, all with the intent to inform you and manage those expectations. So while you might see this video being cut into specific pieces, and there has been some editing going on, the actual data that I will fill in is not something that I've pre-scripted beforehand. So point being, learn first. Keep your trading stack small, because if you cannot trade, then why risk more than you can afford? But then when you can, when and what is realistic to expect? So in front of me, I have a website which is called the National Employee Guide. This is a Dutch website because this is the country that I currently live in, and this is how I know that these numbers that I will find here are realistic. Google has translated this website for me, and as a matter of fact, to be honest, I saw this idea being done in a different video, and I thought it would be a great idea to also do a similar type of video, but then in English, and actually give my personal experiences and views on the matter. So, of course, the numbers that I will be working with might be less realistic depending on where you live. Really, if you live in the States, then obviously there are different norms and different salary scales in that country. Or if you live, let's say, in Africa, these numbers might be different. However, this is the National Employee Guide of the Netherlands, and this is very accurate when it comes to European salaries. So I have to start somewhere, and this is the data that I know is correct and that I know is accurate. So that's the reason why I've chosen to do it from this website, because, you know, at some point we just need to really start somewhere. So I will start off with clicking on this button, where we can see the professions put in different salary scales. And as you can see, there are different salary classes where you're having like on the very low end of the salary scales, and where you are on the high and very high and the average ones, where obviously the highs is a very 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 good salary, where you can live very 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 well. And when you are in the lower class, then it might be you might be struggling with a thing or two. So I'm just gonna go here. You can see that I'm just gonna go with the middle salary, because before I was a trader, I also used to have just a normal day job, and I know that this one is kind of like on the average, which is 2,500 through to anywhere between 2,500 and 3,500 gross per month. So keep in mind, this is before taxes, right? So this is gross salary, and from that, taxes go out of it, and that is what you will have clean coming into your bank account, and that is what you can pay your rent for, your mortgage, your food, medical bills, all that. So I'm gonna go with the middle one, and just let's just see what we're gonna get. Let me click on that. And I want to see all the professions within this scale. So let me click on that. And here we can already see. Let me adjust my microphone for a second. Here we can already see that what I just spoke about the tax deduction and what you will have clean on your bank account. So how much do you have left of 2,500 gross per month? It will probably result in something about 2,200 euros per month, and that's what you're gonna have to do everything with. You need to save, you need to buy your food, you need to pay your rent, mortgage, all that kind of stuff, all the living expenses. If I scroll down, then you can see kind of like what kind of what kind of jobs you can get with what is it, for example, customer service, courier. These are normal everyday jobs, nothing out of the ordinary, like a business economic employee. I know that the Dutch names are slightly different, but this is kind of like truck driver, account manager, service technician, an electrician. Those kind of jobs, I think, is very broad. A lot of different accountant, for example, a controller, animal care manager. So it's a very wide area, and with having that seen and said, we can now accurately confirm that this salary scale is definitely an average salary in the Netherlands, and with that, likely in the western part of Europe as well. So this is accurate data that we're gonna want to work with. This is the average. This is realistic, right? This is the realistic situation. So this is what I'm trying to say. This is the benchmark, and essentially, it already answers the first question. Do you want to live from trading? Then this is the amount of money that you would need to make from trading in order to be able to live from it. Anywhere between 2,500 and 3,500 euros, and that would be the point. That's what you need to make to actually live from trading, right? Where you can say goodbye to your day job and just live from trading. That's what you need. So now I want to move over to running some simulations. What I really like about this is, again, it is factual, and it actually gives you some data that you can actually work with. This is as opposed as to like, hey guys, I've got this kind of capital, and I think I can just simply make of this money. I can just live with that and from that. I think I could do it. No, like these simulations give us an insight on what you can expect with backed up numbers, and data. So I'm just gonna punch in some numbers, because in the end we need to kind of start somewhere. So let's assume the situation that you're having $10,000 starting capital, or euros in this case. Um, and I will repeat again. You might already say like, "Hey, but $10,000 is not realistic, Mike." Hold on, we need to start somewhere, right? So we need to start generating a little bit of a benchmark, and that's what we'll go off of, and we'll work our way through the realistic scenario, and we will see what the numbers are gonna give us. 10,000 euros starting capital, and this is starting capital, not your emergency fund for the house, not your savings for your new car, or another purchase that you're looking to make. No, this is your trading capital, your working capital. So I repeat, this is money that you specifically allocated for the purpose of trading, and that alone, nothing else. So I'm gonna keep it really simple. I'm gonna punch this in as a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio on the basis of keep your losses small and your winners bigger. If you go for a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, then theoretically you would already be risking the same amount of money as that you would potentially get out of a trade, which essentially is just really not worth it, and also defies the principle. So the bare minimum that I would be punching in is the 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Number of trades. Let's say you're a day trader and you're still learning, and you're starting to explore your possibilities. So let's say you take 1 trade a day. You take a few days off because there's weekend, there's stuff, you need to do stuff. So let's say you take 25 trades a month. Every day 1 with a few days off. I think that's probably a realistic number. And I want to sample 25, or let's make it 30 people. I wanna sample 30 people. The risk that we're gonna take on each trade is 1%. So that means that on every trade we're risking 1% of our capital. In this case, $100. Let's start the simulation and see what we get out. So we see a bunch of lines here, and we already see some results. The first thing that already catches my attention is that in the end, most of them are up. So it already shows that maybe the strategy or the setups that you would be looking for ultimately turn out profitable. Right, so that's kind of a good thing. The black line over is the average, and of course you're gonna have varying results. One person will do better than everybody else, and you will also have people that will experience a losing streak within a given month. This is normal. This is very common. Ultimately, losing streaks also tend to end. But this is realistic, that not everybody is gonna have the exact same results. So that's why we're taking a wider sample size and to see what is the average kind of doing. And the average tells us that over time, you will come out, despite losing trades, you will come out in the plus, in the green. Now let's look at the factual numbers over here. Giving us a larger, the biggest drawdown that this simulation proposes is $818. So this can happen, right? That you would lose about $800 to $1,000 in a single month. And this is also the thing. You need to be able to withstand that. Your capital must allow for that. That's why this should be capital that's allocated for trading and trading alone. Like I said, not your emergency fund, not money that you need. That you really need to do stuff in the real world, right? So this gives us an average result of about 1,519 euros. You can already see that, given the research that we've already done, this is simply just not going to cut it. This is not the result that will allow you to actually live from trading, to pay your expenses, to pay your mortgage, rent, and all that kind of stuff. So that is the first observation that I'm going to give. Just as with having a job, This is gross income. You do need to pay taxes over your trading results as well. So if you're grossing this on a month, the result is already very, very clear that this is simply not going to cut it for you, right? So now let's take a look at the numbers that I actually put in. And I'm actually right away gonna burn it into the ground, because as a matter of fact, these numbers are actually not realistic. So the first thing that I would see is that, given the data that we got, so imagine you're having a salary of your 2,500 euros a month, clean. With that, you need to pay your mortgage, your taxes. Maybe you got kids, you need to pay your car or gas, electricity, water, all that kind of stuff. Basically, living expenses. Um, it might not necessarily be realistic to expect that you just have this kind of money laying around and you can start trading with that. If you do, that's great. Hats off to you, because you've been able to save for a while. But let's say if you just decide one on the other day, you are having this income, and you one on the other day you just decide, like, I'm gonna trade, and within 1 year I'm gonna be totally profitable with it, and I'm gonna live from it. It might be a challenge to actually have this amount of money to start with, right? So that is the first thing that I would say. Secondly, I would say the win rate. If you're a beginner trader that is trading less than a year, and even for veteran traders that have been in the game for years, 50% might be quite high. Of course, not impossible, but I would say, is this realistic for a beginner trader? I would say no. I think little bit more realistic. Actually, I want to move on to what would you then need to actually get there, So let's say you have 40% win rate. I think that might be achievable with the right education and with the right dedication and mentality. This can be achievable. We're gonna keep the win-loss ratio like that, and let's put this to $25,000, and let's just see what gives us the results. You can already see that that does not give us the result that you would be typically looking for either, right? So in this case, you would start to need to adjust these numbers. So maybe you need to work on your winning probability, right? So if you have this amount of money, having that starting capital is just step number one. But then you also would need to know how you're performing. So this shows us already that even though you have more money to invest in the first place, but because we tweak the numbers a little bit, it would show us that we actually need either higher win rate, maybe we need to take more trades, maybe we, do that. So I want to stick with that, and I want to say, like, okay, let's say you're really gonna go for it, and I'm gonna take more trades than that. I'm really gonna do day trading, multiple assets, and scalping. And let's say I'm gonna do 50 trades in a month. Now that would actually give us a totally different result. And that, as a matter of fact, actually comes way more close to the income that you might need. So this is what you need in this scenario to actually become profitable, or I would say sustain a living from it. So let's say you do 25, maybe some days you do more trades and some days less, and let's say maybe you do 40 trades. But your win rate is 45%, for example, and you keep the win-loss ratio the same, and that starts to actually give you some much better results, what you might be looking for, right? Now, obviously, this is not a realistic scenario for a beginner trader, because the start equity might be quite difficult to get. The win rate can be on rather high side, and as you're still studying, or maybe you don't have the confidence to keep on taking trades all the time, might not be necessarily realistic. But this does give us paints a picture on what you would need in order to live from trading. right? And I would literally say that 25K starting equity would be the bare minimum, to do this in a safe way. Now, I want to move on to actually a final scenario, and let's say a really realistic scenario, because this is where I think a lot of people that are starting out would probably be looking at. Um, where the scenario would be where you would say, like, you know what, I actually do want to live off day trading, but I only have $2,500 to put in. Now let's see what you actually would need in order to get a monthly salary from here. I would say, given the work that we've already put in, this is going to be very tough to actually live from trading. Right? I mean, you would really need to start doing crazy stuff to do that. This is giving us the results. It would actually net you about $300 to maybe $400. So let's say you have a crazy high win rate. Let's say you win 70% of your trade. Same setup, same number of trades. Let's keep this at 25, and let's see what we can punch out for this. You would be profitable, as a matter of fact, naturally, because your win rate is really high, but you're not going to be able to live off of it. However, regardless, in all scenarios, in this case, you would come out profitable in all scenarios, even if you've gone through a losing streak. So that is one positive thing. So let's say you don't have that. So let's keep this maybe at 40. Then we are back at this kind of or what was it on? Let's keep it at 40 for now. Let's say, okay, but what if I focus on the more profitable or the higher risk to reward ratio setups, right? That would actually give us a decent result, but still wouldn't cut it. However, it's better than the previous one. And what if I, let's say, take 100 trades, for example, with this thing? Then still you would not actually manage to live from that. So your standard simply with this, this is what I'm talking about with a realistic scenario. This is what's realistic. If you just decide on a random day, today I will become a full-time trader. I've meddled with it a little bit with the markets. I think I understand it. So let's just go. Normal job, normal salary, normal expenses. And then this is simply what you will get on average with this capital. If you want to pull this up to a salary that really equals your average salary, then you would really need to start doing quite some crazy things. And if you're doing that, then it's very likely that you would be taking some really crazy and unnecessary risks, which first of all would be totally destructible in the long term. It would really nurture very bad trading habits, so that when you do make money, it's going to be very difficult to unlearn these kind of habits, and it's going to be very difficult to actually keep the money that you might be making when your capital actually goes up. So essentially, your standard would just have to be extremely high, which even for some veteran traders can be difficult to achieve as well. And the thing is, this will just give you financial stress. You will get emotional. You will have extreme pressure to perform, and I think this will just simply give you some troubles. So I think this was a very interesting piece of content, as this really reflects what it would look like realistically if you're looking to become a full-time day trader. Based on these results, you can see that, in the end, it holds true that the more capital you have, the easier it actually becomes possible to generate a sustainable income from it. If you have a starting capital on the lower side, it might actually be a much wiser decision to keep on trading on the side and save up the money that you would make, you realistically need, before you will actually be able to live off it. Let's say in the last scenario, which I think is a very realistic one, where you essentially lack the capital to make a sustainable income from trading, where you would say, like, okay, this is the amount of money that I have. This is what I'm gonna trade with, and within a few weeks or a few months, I'm just gonna do this full time, and that's what's gonna happen. We've now seen that that's simply not realistic. So instead, I would, if I would see these data, I would not necessarily, if I would be having a job, just running away from the job and just focus on day trading alone, per se. I would slowly build up and save up capital, save up some money from the salary. You can with the profits that you're making, slowly but surely you're creating good trading habits, and you're building capital on the side. And then in due time, you will come to a point where you would actually be able to say, like, hey, you know what, I do have the capacity now to actually become sustainable and live off of trading. And that would actually make the transition possible. Um, so I would say, when you're actually starting out, in my personal opinion, it remains the healthiest mindset is one where you just simply approach trading as a side hustle, where you're learning the skills that stay relevant literally for the rest of your life. So I wouldn't say, like, don't learn how the markets operate, because I do think it's an invaluable skill that will last for a lifetime. And if you do become consistent in it, then you can build up that significant capital to sustain yourself. And eventually, you can detach yourself from the job that you don't like, or fulfill your goals that you've set for yourself. Even if you experience losing streaks or a few slip ups, without running into troubles like paying your bills. Last words would be, thanks for watching. If you like this content, leave a like, subscribe, and if you want to learn more about how you can avoid some beginner mistakes in trading, then subscribe to this channel and check out this video next.